Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, researchers use high tech to track changes in Arizona's groundwater supply. Also tonight, a new federal law aims to enhance business transparency. And we'll hear what business advocates are hoping to see from the upcoming state legislative session. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Governor Katie Hobbs is out with a plan to better control the state's universal school voucher program. That's according to the Arizona Republic, which reports that the governor's plan will attempt to increase accountability and transparency for the taxpayer-funded program. Now, that program has significantly exceeded its original allocation, which means that lawmakers will have to increase the program's funding as they deal with a budget deficit. Now, the governor's call for basic standards in controlling ESA vouchers differs from her stance last year when she called for an outright repeal of the program. Democratic lawmakers in the House and Senate support the governor's new plan. Republicans, they're opposed, with House Speaker Ben Toma calling the plan, quote, unserious, and criticizing the governor and ESA critics for not understanding that the program, according to Toma, is driven by parents and not by private schools. Other headlines: the president of Harvard University resigned today amid increasing accusations of plagiarism. Claudine Gay also faced criticism over her recent congressional testimony regarding anti-Semitism on campus. Gay was Harvard's first black president and the second woman to lead the prestigious university. She was named president in July, making her tenure the shortest of any president since Harvard's founding in 1636. A new poll shows that nearly half of Americans say that Donald Trump's actions related to January 6th should disqualify him from the presidency. The Washington Post University of Maryland survey finds that 46% think that Trump should be disqualified, with 33% saying that Trump's role in what happened on January 6th is irrelevant to his qualifications to again be president. Of note, the national poll was taken prior to Colorado's Supreme Court ruling that Trump is not an eligible presidential candidate under the 14th Amendment's ban on insurrectionists. And money news: as of the start of the new year, Social Security benefits will again increase due to a cost of living adjustment. That adjustment amounts to a 3.2% increase, which comes out to an average of more than $50 a month. It's the third straight year that Social Security payments have increased as a result of inflation, though this year's bump is smaller compared to the previous 2 years. Researchers are finding new ways to monitor groundwater storage around the state to help identify and protect Arizona's groundwater supply. Dave Familietti from ASU School of Sustainability joins us now. His research team is leading this groundwater tracking effort. Good to have you here. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thanks so much for having me.
So what are you're basically tracking groundwater supplies, and talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Sure. So we use a satellite mission called GRACE. It's a NASA mission, and GRACE stands for Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment. It's been flying since 2002, and over the last couple of decades, it has allowed us to track the changes in groundwater storage, not just in Arizona, but around the world. It's really an unusual satellite in that it functions much more like a scale than, say, a camera or a telescope or a thermometer up in the sky. It's much more like a scale. And let's make it really simple. Water is really, really heavy.
Yes.
And when you lose a lot of it, like we're doing here in the American Southwest, or you're gaining a lot of it over a large area, say the Sierras in California after a big snowstorm, the gravitational tug on the satellites changes. When there's more water, it pulls them a little closer to the Earth. When there's less water, they float a little higher in their orbit. So that's sort of like the scale. These satellites, there's two of them. And they move up and down in response to how much water is in the ground, and NASA makes incredibly accurate measurements, basically, of the position of the scale.
That is absolutely amazing. Because you think about a satellite, you think about imagery, and you think, wait a minute, how can you take imagery of groundwater? That can't work. But you are literally, imagery, forget that. You're just looking at the level of the satellite.
Yes, we are. And it's pretty amazing. It's true rocket science. And it's been revolutionary, actually, within the water sciences, because before we had this scale that has allowed us to see the ups and downs of how much water is stored on and in the ground, we had to rely on what are very sparse measurements around the world. So the satellite picture gives us continuous global scale measurements from which we can understand what's going on.
Is it the kind of thing where does it have to be placed in a certain spot? I mean, can it find groundwater?
No, it can't. I wish that it could.
Yeah.
No, the satellites orbit around the poles. So there's two of them. They're not very big. They're about maybe the size of the stage. Maybe if you double the stage, they're about 1 meter by 2 meters by 3 meters. And they follow each other around in what we call a near polar orbit. So as the Earth is spinning around and the satellites are moving, they're basically sweeping over the Earth, mapping these places that are gaining or losing water storage on a monthly basis and longer, so we can start to look at trends over 20 years. To get back to the point of can we find water? No, we can't find water, and we can't tell the absolute amount. We can't say, hey, there's this much groundwater in the ground. What we can see is how much it's changing, the rate at which it's changing around the world.
Interesting. So when you make one pass and it's X, and you make the next pass and it's X minus 1,
exactly,
you're losing water.
That's right. And in some places it's X minus 1, and in some places it's X plus 1.
Yeah, yeah. Arizona's water supplies. From all of this research, what are you finding?
Like a lot of the American Southwest, it's very dry. We're losing a fair amount of water here across the state. Something like between 1 and 1.5 million acre feet per year. A lot of that is because of things like climate change, the fact that the Colorado River Basin is drying out, we don't get as much stream flow, and the fact that we use a lot of groundwater.
Yeah. So with that in mind, how do you use this research from what you know, what you plan on finding out for the future? Can you predict the future from knowing what's happened in the past?
I have, in my office, I have several crystal balls. So we can use the satellites to understand over the last couple of decades how our water storage is changing, not just the groundwater, but the surface water as well. So we can see those trends. We have to use observations on the ground to understand how much water we need. So we're trying to look at that statewide. So water from the environment, water for the economy, water for people, right? Water for energy production, for food production. And so we can look at that, and this is what we plan to do at ASU, is understand how that gap between supply and demand is changing. So yes, we can predict the future. We use computer models. And then we think about the technology and the policy and the things that we need to do to minimize that gap. Once we identify the gap and quantify it, now we have to figure out how to fill it in.
That policy, obviously water, we've already had 20 some odd bills approached here in the state legislature, but the session hasn't even started yet, and we're already seeing all these water bills out there. What would you like to see decision makers, lawmakers, people in the position of authority do when it comes to stick to groundwater right now?
Yeah, so I would like to see us think about extending the Groundwater Management Act to cover the entire state. Right now, less than 25% by area is covered. And so across the rest of the state, it's basically a free-for-all. That's not uncommon around the world.
Yeah.
And that's why we have these numerous hotspots for the disappearance of groundwater all over the world. So that, I think, is critical for a desert state like Arizona, for a desert city like Phoenix, to really, the thing about groundwater is that it's intergenerational. It's an inheritance. It's not about us, and it's not really about the next 20 years. It's generations.
Last question: are we whistling past the graveyard or the water tower here? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of it'll fix itself down the road. We'll get to it when we get to it. You see? Are you hearing that? Are you feeling that?
That's around the world, kicking the can down the road,
yeah.
And that's the political side of things, because most political terms are short. I think we're fortunate right now to have a governor who is very water forward, and so I think there's an opportunity to stop kicking the can down the road and to do something now. Last
thing here, you have a podcast, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, it's What About Water?
Yes.
And Arizona PBS is involved some way, shape, or form?
Yes, we just moved to Arizona PBS, and we'll be starting season 5 very soon. It's science-based, and so we try to do science translation and bring the science from schools like ASU and schools around the world and translate it and talk about it with the scientists. Hopefully it's interesting.
All right. What about water? That's the title, correct?
That's it.
All right. Jay Famiglietti, again, ASU School of Sustainability. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Arizona Horizon details on a new federal law focused on economic transparency in businesses.
The most dramatic moment of learning in my life happened in less than a second.
50 years ago, 5 scientists made a revolutionary discovery.
It was a flashbulb moment.
They learned how to heal a battered planet.
We've found the rules, how systems work, how the world works.
Join these unsung heroes as they tell their unique story of hope, one that will change the way you see nature.
Tonight at 7 on Arizona PBS.
The largest Arctic expedition ever.
We want to understand why the ice is melting.
It impacts everything we do, all of the weather that we experience.
There's never been data like this.
We all have to care.
To protect the planet, to protect everyone.
What is at stake? Everything, I would say.
Arctic Drift on Nova.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on Arizona PBS.
The Corporate Transparency Act, also known as the CTA, is a new federal law that took effect yesterday. The law is designed to create transparency in businesses as a way to fight terrorism, money laundering, and other financial crimes. Joining us now is David McCarville, partner at the business and finance group Fenimore. David, good to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. Give me a better definition here, the Corporate Transparency Act.
Yes, thank you, Ted. Thank you for having me. So the Corporate Transparency Act is implemented, as you said, yesterday, January 1st, 2024. It's now effective. And the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is the agency responsible for collecting information from reporting companies who are not exempt from the CTA. They have to provide beneficial ownership information for owners who have 25% or more ownership or have substantial control over about 30 million businesses in the U.S., affecting primarily small and medium-sized businesses.
When you say beneficial ownership, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so beneficial ownership is defined as 25% or more control over an LLC or corporation, or someone who has substantial control, such as a person who may be able to remove a manager or a director of a company. There are various ways to come at a beneficial owner, but the question you have to ask is what percentage ownership do they have and what control do they have directly or indirectly over the entity?
And again, this is enhancing transparency of company ownership in terms of fighting financial wrongdoing, correct?
That's correct, yes. FinCEN's job is basically to police America's economic system and make sure that people are paying their taxes, that they're not engaged in money laundering or terrorist financing. And there have been instances where shell companies have been used to do these things and to basically use these shell companies for illicit financial activities. And so FinCEN is trying to combat that through the CTA.
Is there a way, can you have a shell company for a shell company? Obviously some folks will try to get around this thing. How difficult will that be?
I think it will be difficult, yes. Given the requirements here, if you fail to comply, FinCEN can basically use both criminal and civil penalties against you. Civil penalties can be $500 per day fine. Criminal penalties can be a $10,000 fine and up to 2 years in jail. So the CTA has significant penalties that come along with non-compliance or failure to comply. So certainly not to be avoided by businesses that have to comply.
And when we're talking businesses, we mean corporations, LLCs. What else is involved here?
Yeah, it's corporations or LLCs or any entity that had to be formed by filing with a state or tribal organization. So there are some exemptions for existing large companies that have 20 employees or more full-time employees and $5 million in revenue. Also, a lot of companies that are currently being monitored by FinCEN, financial institutions, publicly traded companies, nonprofits, there are some exemptions for those. But for most of the small and medium-sized businesses in the U.S., they will have to comply with the CTA.
How many entities do already report and have already been required to report, or at least report voluntarily?
Well, it just became effective yesterday, January 1st, 2024. So the forms are now available for people to report. So if you have an existing company, you have until January 1st, 2025 to file. And they do expect about 30 million entities to have to file this year that are existing before January 1st, 2024. If you create a new business or LLC after January 1st, 2024, you'll have 90 days to file with FinCEN. So if you create a new entity this year, you have 90 days to file with FinCEN. And then in 2025, you create a new entity, you have 30 days to report to FinCEN.
But again, let me rephrase the question because I don't think I made it clear. I mean, before this law, how many people had already been doing something like this in terms of reporting and identifying?
Yeah, they were not really doing this. I mean, if you think about the way that corporations and LLCs are created currently with the states, there's a minimal amount of information that have to be provided, and each state is different. And actually, there is a small business lobbyist group called the National Small Business Association that has filed a lawsuit against the Treasury Department. And that case is winding its way through the Alabama federal court right now and probably will be appealed regardless of who wins. But yeah, this is something that, it's the law of land right now. So for businesses that are reporting companies, they need to understand it and also understand how they're going to gather this personal information and submit it securely to FinCEN.
What do you anticipate as being some of the questions that you're going to hear from businesses? I mean, obviously they're going to need advice. And you say, I think understanding is the major factor here, is it not?
Yeah, I think understanding and also understanding how your business is going to comply. Are you going to hire an attorney or a CPA or a third-party provider to file this information for you, or are you going to engage directly with FinCEN and go through the process yourself? I think what I would urge, all small businesses right now to do is just to understand what's required and understand for your business how you're going to gather this information and secure it, because the information that's being required is protected under data privacy laws. So you have to be very careful with how you gather this information and then submit it to FinCEN.
Last question here. Response from the business community, people you've talked to. Is there concern about this? Is there heaving a sigh of relief here? What are you hearing?
I think a lot of people are unaware of it, and when we do inform them of it, they are surprised. And it's an additional requirement for them. They're going to have to navigate it. So I don't think very many small businesses are happy about this, but it is just part of doing business, unfortunately, in the modern age, and this is the law of the land right now, so people do need to comply with it.
Yeah, surprises are rarely good for small businesses, especially surprises like this. David McCarville, Fenimore, good information. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted. Have a good evening.
The legislature is set to get back to business next week at the state capitol, and with that in mind, this week we will be hearing what advocates for a variety of issues are looking for from lawmakers in this upcoming session. Tonight, we hear from the business community, and our guest, Danny Seiden, President and CEO of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Business and Industry and the whole nine yards, and Todd Sanders, President of the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Danny, we'll start with you. Let's just get right down to what do you want to see come Monday?
Well, Happy New Year, Ted. And what we would want to see at the Arizona Chamber, and I'm sure all the business community, is a continuation of the momentum that we've seen in Arizona, making us really the number one place in the country to come grow a business, relocate your business, or start a business. And that happens through good policy. So what we want to see starting next week is bills being introduced that recognize that good policy matters, and that in order for us to continue this growth that we're having and to grow smartly, that we need to do a couple of things to support it. One is make sure our education is properly funded, our infrastructure is properly funded, and energy. So we're going to be heavily focused on those things.
I want to focus a little bit more on those, but overview here, what do you need? What are you looking for?
Well, I think for us, a lot of what Danny said is relevant for us. And I think we've got three parts to our strategy. One's going to be a prevent defense. I mean, Danny says, as he said, we want to make sure that we're moving the ball forward. There have been a number of policies, bills that were introduced last year that I think were harmful to that, kill jobs, kill growth. So those are going to be one part. The other part, I think, is an economic strategy, which is the sort of the offense side of that. For instance, economic tools that continue to help us grow, like the continuation of the Arizona Office of Economic Development, the ACA. That has to happen. And I think the third piece that we're all going to be looking at is how we're going to balance the budget in a way that's going to be sustainable in the out years.
From where you sit, what were some of those ideas that you didn't think were all that hot last year?
Ted, we commissioned a report with the Common Sense Institute called the Job Killer Report on this very topic. We identified 67 bills that would have cost the Arizona economy $19 billion. And I'll just start with one that's very relevant right now. Every year for almost a decade, there's been a bill introduced to remove the right to work status in our state's constitution. And all that says, by the way, is that you cannot be hired or fired based on your decision to join a union. It's a very pro-employee piece of language we have here in Arizona. But not only has that been introduced, and economists put that price tag at about $9 billion on its own, but also there is an effort to get it on the ballot right now that we'll be fighting as well.
I was going to say, right to work. We've had a lot of programs on this on both sides. As it exists, better than changes, as far as you're concerned?
I think what we have now works, and certainly we're going to be looking at that. Some other examples are where employers are going to be forced into different regimens in terms of how benefits look, how wages look. Those are things that we think the business community should be looking at. Love to see the legislature come together and do something that's going to move the economy forward.
Tax structure, Danny. Let's talk about this. How do you balance competitive rates with adequate and even above adequate services?
It's a good question, and to be honest, Ed, I really always want to talk about what's happening with the budget in very clear terms. This is not a structural deficit as much as it is a miscalculation of what we would have in one-time dollars. So I do think the legislature, and hopefully along with the governor, we can all agree that we want to see a nice balanced budget coming out. There's a way to do this. There's a way to look at some of the expenditures they've made in the last session when we had, $2.5 billion surplus to go and maybe delay some of those payments out, hold over some of that money as our state flattens out with its revenues.
I was going to bring that up. I mean, that surplus is adios. We're at a $400 million deficit right now. Some are blaming the tax cut, the Governor Ducey's tax cut, the flat tax. How do you resolve this?
Well, I think Danny's right. Certainly we have to see what the numbers look like. We're looking at a deficit today. Certainly we'll see where that lands when everyone takes a look at that. But I think we've got to be careful that the cuts we make, if we're going to make cuts, aren't so draconian that they're not going to hurt us as the economy rebounds. And it is. What we're going to see is a very soft landing, and I think a catapult out. If you're talking to economists, if you're talking to Sandra Watson, the deal flow from Arizona is substantial. So we need to be careful that we're not cutting in the wrong ways that are going to hurt us in the out years.
Not go too far one direction or the other. Can you be too extreme in either direction?
I think you can be extreme in both directions, absolutely. Yes. And I think we're very responsible with our fiscal policy in this state. We've done a very good job. Again, we're making this adjustment as we head into the 2.5% flat tax, lowest flat tax in the country. I think it's a good thing for competitiveness. I think Sandra Watson and the ACA, and really appreciate Todd's support on that. I mean, it is, going back to 2010, the last time we had a real revenue problem with Great Recession, we were the slowest state coming out of it. The ACA was created and born out of that, and they have helped us grow and helped our economy grow to the point that we have so many large investments coming in that are lagging in their payouts. We're going to be fine in the state.
Important economic investments like the universities are areas where we can't cut if we're going to continue to grow. We've got to continue to produce people that can fill these high-wage, high-skilled jobs in Arizona.
Let's talk more about that. Education. I mean, what do you want to see from the legislature as far as education interests are concerned? We can go ESA voucher if you want, but I mean, education in general. I mean, these companies are coming out here. They're expecting some educated folks to fill their jobs.
You bet. And we shouldn't be afraid to look at the ASA system right now and say, all right, what are some of the loopholes we need to close? That has to happen. I didn't get a chance to look at the governor's plan today, but I think we have to have the conversation, not be afraid of doing that. On the other side of that, we had a big push last year for a dual enrollment program, which is making sure that we got kids in high school that are earning college credit to make sure that they can get into a 2-year or 4-year program to meet the demand that's coming out. I don't want to see that go away.
Education.
We have to talk about Prop 123. It's the most significant and consequential piece of legislation passed at the statewide level in the last decade to funding K-12 education. It expires next year. So it's going to be a major priority of our chamber to make sure that we get that extension through the legislature and get it in front of the voters so they can keep it going. There's one plan out there from Senate President Peterson right now that shifts it all towards teacher pay. I imagine what actually will be voted on will look somewhat different as the process goes, but we'll be very supportive of that, and that has to pass.
But the criticism then and the criticism now, including from the state GOP chairman, is that it's like taking money out of your 401k. It doesn't make sense in the long run. How do you respond?
I respect Chairman DeWitt greatly. I respected Treasurer DeWitt greatly at the time. And unfortunately, he's been proven wrong. That the corpus was never touched. State Treasurer Kimberly Yee has said the corpus has grown during the period of Prop 123's passage. So it was a good idea and it's a good plan. And it's what it's there for.
We've got about 30 seconds here. Water. Give all the answers.
Well, I think what we've been spending the last year of our lives is really focusing on water internally with our members, but also talking to the rest of the country about what it really means to be in Arizona. The fact that we have a 100-year water supply. We're looking at where we have a deficit of 4 years. We're talking 96 years versus 100. So a lot of this is making sure the rest of the country understands what our position is today and where we are, how we're positioned for the future.
Quickly, Danny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, The Arizona has water. We're the most responsible and well-planned for state. We use less water now than we did in 1957. We will innovate our way through the small 4% issue that we have to deal with. And, again, we want to continue to support Sandra Watson as she's advertising this and getting over these rumors about water coming from your colleagues in the national media.
Oh, Danny Todd, you got that one into the last second here. Danny, Todd, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Coming up tonight at 7. At 8. At 9.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This summer.
Welcome back for a second seasoning. This really is about a connection to home for me.
One species is reshaping the world.
This is like being in a candy store for me.
I think the things that unify people in the South are the same things that unify all people.
Cheers. The most dramatic moment of learning in my life happened in less than a second.
50 years ago, 5 scientists made a revolutionary discovery.
It was a flashbulb moment.
They learned how to heal a battered planet